but he wanted to push the envelope with these individuals who were checking him out every step of the way. And his host said nothing. The man before them obviously is sick. The meal is waiting for them. And they want to see what Jesus will do. And he wants to push them to see if they will say it's time to heal a sick man. But because they said nothing, Jesus took the initiative, and in taking the initiative, he healed that man. The text doesn't tell us how he did it. It doesn't tell us if he laid his hands on him. It doesn't say he spat on him. It doesn't say that he gave him a prescription, but it tells us he healed him. And there's a lesson in this. Jesus knew that his hosts were stunned when they saw him heal a man with dropsy, and it happened to be the Sabbath. They were absolutely positively stunned. And so Jesus took the initiative. He said, look, which one of you on Sunday, if your son or if an ox fell into a ditch, wouldn't reach down and pick him up? And they couldn't say anything because they knew instinctively, out of love, they would reach for in the ditch and get their son out. Jesus made the point that not only would you go into the ditch and get your son, but you go into the ditch for an animal that can't even speak, an animal that can't think like we do. And if you have love for the animal that's stuck in the ditch, if you have love for your son who's stuck in the ditch, why not for this human being, this wretch of an individual who is simply waiting and asking, begging and pleading to be healed? And there's a lesson in this, my friends. The lesson is that where the Bible does not address a specific situation, you and I are forced as Christians and as believers in God to make our best judgment. Let me say that again. Where the Bible is not specific in how to address a certain situation, you and I, as believers in God, are called upon to use your best judgment. For those of you who are single, when you are out and you meet somebody who looks like you like them, looks like maybe you'd like to get to know them better, and the man puts a move on you or the woman puts a move on you, at some point, you don't have time to go thumbing through your Bible. Jesus is saying you got to start thinking for yourself and ask yourself, what do I do right now? For those of us who are married and you find yourself in certain predicaments, Jesus is saying, pray and figure it out right now. The Apostle Paul says it this way, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. In other words, because I believe that the Lord wants us to use our best judgment. In Psalm 8, it says we are made just a little lower than the angels, my friends. What is man that thou art mindful of him, or the son of man that thou dost consider him? We are made just a little lower than the angels. And what the psalmist is talking about is God has an expectation for you and for me to think for ourselves, to act for ourselves. And so what we see in this text is Jesus, figuratively speaking, reaching into the gorge, the ditch, to lift up a man who is sick on Sunday. The man's only curse is that he's sick on Sunday. And so what is the lesson in this? When you don't know whether to go to the left or the right, when you don't know whether or not to go forward or to stand still, when you are called upon to make a critical decision in your life, if you don't know what to do, after having researched the Bible, consulted as much as you can, after you have prayed your heart out, then all you can do, my friends, is revert to love. All you can do is revert to love. And I tell you, if you respond in love, you'll never be far off the mark. If you respond in love to the stranger, even though you don't fully know where things are going, if you respond in love to the coworker who's mean to you, who is conniving towards you, who is trying their best to cut the rug out from underneath you, if you respond in love, you find that it's very difficult for a person to really handle that. People like it better when you're antagonistic. Now, loving doesn't mean to lay over and let a person just do anything that they want to you. But to love a person is what Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, starting at verse 4. What does he say? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous, envious, resentful, irritable, or rude. It does not insist on its own way. That's what love is all about. And when I say when in doubt, revert to love, revert to patience, revert to kindness, revert to a lack of jealousy and a lack of enviousness. Revert to being not irritable, resentful, or rude. And you find that if a person has an evil spirit, a mean spirit about them, they can't handle that. They cannot handle it because that's not what they're prepared for. What a person who is intent on evil is really looking for is for you to stand up and fight them on their own level. And when you come back in the context of love, it's too much.